Divide et Impera, one of the largest and most complex mods of Rome 2 Total War. The campaign starts a few years before Rome 2's, at 278 BC, at a time when Rome was greatly under threat, and history could have easily taken a different turn. The enemy pushed Rome back to her gates, and brought great beasts that today we would call elephants. Despite losing a series of battles, Rome refused to surrender. Sound familiar? This was no Carthaginian army. It was instead the original Hannibal who pressured Rome during these times. Pyrrhus of Epirus. But how do we get here? Welcome to Total War BackStory, a new series that looks into how the empires we see got where they are in game and tries to give a bit of a basic background into the overall campaign. By the year 281 BC, a new power had emerged in the world. This power was called Rome, and they proved themselves to be a dominant player on the battlefield. The Roman Republic grew in the Italian peninsula and became a threat to the Greek colonies to the south, one of them being Tarentum. Tarentum asked Pyrrhus for aid, and Pyrrhus accepted, but at the cost of full control. They accepted, Pyrrhus arrived, and after about a year of organisation from both sides, they met in battle in the year 280 at Heraclea. Rome had the infantry advantage, but Pyrrhus had the cavalry advantage, with elephants. This we do see in game, as Rome starts with 0 cavalry, and Pyrrhus does start with elephants. Pyrrhus won, but the Romans were far from beaten. Pyrrhus gained more that day than victory. An understanding of Roman military, strengths and weaknesses, a stronger foothold in the south, the loyalty and support of the Greeks, and time. Pyrrhus did then push up all the way to Rome, but like Hannibal, he knew he did not have the strength to take it, so pulled back to the south. Rome, like in the Second Punic War, refused to make peace. Pyrrhus met Rome again in the Battle of Asculum, where he won history's first Pyrrhic victory, a form of victory where although you win, it was at such a great cost, it does not seem like a win in the long term. He had to pull back to Tarentum in order to replenish his troops. In 278, Pyrrhus received 2 offers, and this is where the game starts. His offers were to go to Macedon and become king there, or travel to Sicily and help the Greek cities against Carthage. In game, there's even a fleet ready for him, if the player so wishes to actually follow the historical route and go for Sicily. Historically, he went for Sicily, but in game, there's also a third option, to continue pushing on Rome. Although the campaign is set at a time when Pyrrhus could no longer push on Rome, and would instead go for Sicily, it is designed to appear a few years prior, at the time when Pyrrhus had only just arrived. This is interesting and done for gameplay reasons. In reality, the armies were much larger by this point and ready to battle once more. Arguably a likely Roman victory at that point. This is even represented in the population mechanic. After experiencing my Epirus campaign, I did manage to have 3 victories on the Romans, but I just simply ran out of manpower, and Rome brought yet 2 more massive armies. I, like Pyrrhus, had my Pyrrhic victory and so had to pull back, losing a lot of the land that I had just gained. Subscribe to get notified of next week's video, where we will look into the backstory of Vanilla Rome 2 Total War, and find out the rest of Pyrrhus's journey and how the setting of Rome 2's campaign came to be. But that was not all what was going on in the world, despite it being the clear focus point of the campaign. First, there's Rome's other enemy, the Etruscans. These two regional powers had been warring for control for some time now, but it was only as we near the start date of the game that a possible victor becomes present. Two battles were fought at Lake Vadimir, one in 310 and the other in 283 BC. Rome won both. Etrusca had a very valuable city very close to the border. This city was known as Vulci. They did manage to resist the Romans for some time, but eventually they broke and Rome won in 280 BC, just 2 years before the start date. These two powers would war for yet another almost 2 decades, until Rome would eventually triumph in 264 BC. Although the mod does lean towards Rome destroying Etrusca first before going south, that is more due to gameplay limitations than mistakes by the devs. Secondly, there's the Diadochi, a collection of successors that emerged after the death of Alexander the Great. Macedon at this time is undergoing serious political issues, with kings dying on a very regular basis. Basically one of my Let's Plays. In addition to this, Brennus of Gaul attacks, but eventually dies, and the Macedonians regain control. Those same Gauls then sailed over to Asia Minor, and battle the Seleucid Empire. The Seleucid Empire defeats them, but the Gauls settle and the Seleucids have to pay them for future peace, unable to destroy them fully. These Gauls we do not see in game. The Seleucid Empire is constantly fighting many wars on many fronts, the major one being against the Ptolemaic Empire. Although they don't start the game at war, almost everyone instantly hates them, and war is inevitable. Only 2 years prior, the Colossus had been built by the people of Rhodes, making it the tallest statue of the day, which I think it is an incredible accomplishment that gets often overlooked. Interestingly, the game depicts trade and good relations between Rome and Carthage. This was accurate at the time, and they shared common enemies in the Greeks, but the collapse of that relationship will be discussed in the next week's episode. Carthage actually sent Rome ships and money to help them against Pyrrhus. Yep, people never learn, do they? Overall, please understand, I am in no way looking for mistakes made by these developers, and even where mistakes may be present, I believe they made the right call. Or sometimes it's gameplay limitations. Divide et Impera is a great mod, and I just wanted to give it a bit of a background, as not everyone who plays knows about its history. I hope you enjoyed. This is a new series, so feedback is certainly welcome, although I am quite happy with how it is looking so far. Also, please feel free to leave suggestions of future titles or mods you want to see me cover. If you want to see more, please do subscribe and share. It really helps me out and makes the extra hours I put into these more worthwhile. Thank you and goodbye.